Hi, you guys. I'm Phil Town for Rule 1. Listen, for 60 years, one guy ran the greatest show in capitalism, no question about it. And this year, he didn't. I just got back from Omaha, the first Berkshire annual meeting since Warren Buffett stepped down as CEO. I was there, I got to see the whole thing, and I'm going to be honest with you guys in a way that I think a lot of recap videos won't be. Part of it was sad, and part of it was a little awkward, and part of it, the part that almost nobody's talking about, it was the best damn Berkshire weekend I've had in years. So let me explain. If you've never been to the Omaha Berkshire meeting, here's what you need to understand. The Berkshire meeting, it really isn't a meeting. I mean, people call it Woodstock for capitalism, and that isn't just marketing material. That's just what it is. About 40,000 people fly into a mid-sized city in Nebraska every spring to sit in an arena. And for the last, it must be at least 15, 20 years of this. So you're listening to two guys in their 90s answer wide open questions for about 6 hours. And why? Well, because for 60 years, Warren and Charlie weren't just running a company. They were teaching a philosophy, not only a philosophy of investing, but a philosophy of life. The investing strategies are just the best there are in the world. You pay a fair price, you think like an owner, you be patient. So the meeting really is this amazing classroom, and class was always in session. So this year it kind of carried a weight that's hard to describe until you're kind of standing in that arena and Charlie's gone, and for the first time Warren's not on stage, he's not running the show. So here's what actually happened in the room. Abel walked out, great guy, new CEO. And the first thing he did, it was the right thing. He raised Warren Buffett's jersey to the rafters, number 60 for 60 years. And it went up next to Charlie's jersey. It's already up there, number 45. And that place just came apart. It was a standing ovation. Some people were crying. It was a moment the whole weekend had been kind of holding its breath for. And then Warren, and this is the part that got me, Warren wasn't on stage. He was in the audience, in a seat, just like one of us. And man, at one point he took the microphone from the floor and he used it to bless Greg. And he said choosing Greg was one of the best decisions he ever made. And he pointed out it was the anniversary to the day of when he had announced the whole thing. And look, there was a moment with an AI version of Warren, and it was a digitally generated Buffett probably to say, hey, we're with it, we're hip. And also because Warren may not have felt comfortable doing that video. And I'll be straight with you, it was a little sad. And certainly the video wasn't disrespectful at all. The people who made it, they clearly cared and they love Warren. But there's something, I don't know, man, about a synthesized voice standing in for a guy that is right there in the building. It just lands a little strange, and it reminds me, what we're losing. Let me talk about Greg for a second. Greg Abel did a really workmanlike job, for sure. And I want to be careful here because workmanlike might sound to somebody like it's a knock on Greg, and it's absolutely not. This weekend, it's probably the highest compliment I can give him because Greg made one really genuinely wise decision. He didn't try to be Warren, and he didn't try to be Charlie. He didn't try to do folksy one-liners or be all dry, like Charlie Munger. He didn't reach for the Buffett cadence. What he did is he answered questions like an operator, like a guy who knows where, every bolt in this whole giant conglomerate is, which is pretty amazing all by itself. First thing he did is he ruled out breaking up Berkshire, which is really important. People want to know if that's how they're going to get the value out of it. He talked about continuity. He talked about how he's thinking about how they're applying AI across all the businesses. He was steady. He was competent. He was himself. If you'd tried to do an impression of Warren Buffett, come on, it would have been a disaster, right? And he knew better than that. So that's his job. That's exactly the job. Go be Greg Abel. Go tell us about the company because, there's not replacing Warren in that way. And here's the thing I kept feeling sitting in that place. It's just like I heard other people say it too, just quietly out in the hallways. The magic was a little thinner. It's not gone, but it is definitely thinner. And Greg did an excellent job, but you're not hanging on every word the way you do with Warren. 60 years of Warren Buffett being completely unscripted up there and pulling all of his experience and putting it into words that I think only Buffett could do. That specific thing, that's not coming back. Which kind of leads to a question, the uncomfortable question. And basically the one this whole video is about, because that's a real question, right? If the arena is the only reason you go to Omaha, I'm not sure the arena by itself is enough anymore. 40,000 people don't go to any other conglomerate corporate annual report. That is unheard of. So that's not enough if that's all there is. But here's what I figured out this weekend. The arena was never actually the entire reason to be there. And let me tell you what I actually did in Omaha this year. I made certain that I made it into Omaha Thursday night to catch Matt Peterson's soiree. Matt puts on this great food and drink entertainment networking thing. And I got to tell you, you really should try to get an invitation. The place was packed with people who just have been around each other for many, many years. I was at Matt's first one in the backyard of a house somewhere in western Omaha. And it was just this little thing of a bunch of friends of Matt's. And now, a decade into this thing, and it really showed that night. It was Network City right out of the box. Then the next day got launched at Guy Spears' ValueX program. If you don't know about it, Guy runs a gathering of value investors from all over the world, usually in Davos, Switzerland, and it was packed. It was standing room only. So the conversation's just in that room, and you just can't get anywhere else. It's phenomenal. A really good bunch of individual investors and people who are running funds, people who definitely drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago and just can't get enough of it. Now, some of them are actually up on stage giving back to the next generation. I mean, these people all read the same books. They've all made the same kinds of, I'd say different mistakes the same kind of way, right? We're all value investors. And we're all trying to get better, and no performance. It was just investors like Monesh Prabrai talking about investing. And Guy got up there. I mean, man, he has earned his scars, and he is simply one of the best people in the world that I know. And he was up there just all smiles, man, and that is really something. And then there was Brandon Vanderkook's New Money Gathering. This guy has over 1 million people on his YouTube channel, which is all about Buffett and Munger. And I was up there with Divya and Narinda. Divya is amazing. He's a really good guy. I'd never met him before, but Facebook started with him. And now SumZero is out there online, which is a home for really good investors in the Buffett style. Matt Peterson runs Real Money more all the time, and he thinks really a lot about it. I mean, he's got a great mind, and he's definitely out there sharing his magic. And then there's a room full of people, a lot of them young, a lot of them right at the beginning of this journey, who'd come to Omaha not to see a celebrity, right? But to find their people. And a lot of those people were rulers, which I was really excited about. And that's when it clicked for me. This is Woodstock for capitalists, right? I had it wrong all those years. I thought Woodstock was the stage. It was never the stage. Woodstock was about the audience. It was about the 500,000 people in the field getting muddy. It was a community, and that's why everybody's showing up. And it's amazing. The tribe is still gathering. And that's the headline I don't think anybody's putting on their thumbnail. Warren wasn't running the meeting, and 40,000 people came anyway, and most of them came to be with their tribe. Guy still ran ValueX, the dinners still happened. The hallway conversations are amazing, which, if I'm honest, is where I've learned so much about investing over the years. Those are still happening. Old friends I only ever see in Omaha. You know, new faces. People walk up and say, hey, I read your book. You know, I mean, it's just so cool. People who are 25 years old asking me the exact questions I was asking 30 years ago. And they're looking at me like I'm their long lost Uncle Phil. And it was all pretty damn great, I gotta tell you. Warren and Charlie, they didn't just build a company and teach a philosophy. They built a tribe. And the real test of whether you built something is really simple, you know? Does it stand up when you're not in the room? And this weekend was the test. And I bet Warren is so proud of what's going on out there. The tribe showed up. It was an absolute blast. It was honestly one of the best Berkshire weekends I can remember. Not in spite of the change, but because the change forced all of us to see what was actually holding this thing together. And it was never just one man on a stage. Certainly, it was enormously about Warren, but it was never only that. It was all of us out there in that field getting muddy. We weren't actually getting muddy. We had hotel rooms. I'm using a metaphor here, if you didn't get it. So what does this mean for you guys? If you're sitting at home and you're trying to become a better investor, what's it mean? Two things. One, the philosophy doesn't step down with Warren. You buy a wonderful business, you understand it, you make sure it has a moat, you make sure it's run by people who are talented, they have integrity, and you buy it with a margin of safety. Oh, please just do that, right? And none of that walked out of the building. Greg Abel spent the entire meeting telling us that Berkshire still runs on those exact same principles, and that's the continuity, and that word matters. And number two, and this is the one I really want you to take away, is it's your tribe. Come and find it. You don't have to fly to Omaha to do it. But man, you can't do this alone. You really need to be with people who are like-minded, to bounce ideas off of, to call you out when you're getting into hubris and confirmation bias and you're believing your own BS. So it's true that the investors who win are often the ones, and usually the ones, who surround themselves with other people who are also doing the work. People who will tell you when you're wrong, and they're going to share what they're reading, and they're going to keep you patient when the market's just kind of losing its mind. And that's what Omaha reminded me about this year. And that's what I want to remind you guys of. For 60 years, Warren ran the greatest classroom in the history of investing. But meanwhile, on the outside of that, a tribe was growing. This year, he handed someone else the keys and $380 billion. And then he sat in the audience like a student and he watched that tribe hold. Now, the meeting changed, but the mission didn't. So no, it wasn't the same. I mean, how could it be? But I flew home, you guys, more convinced than I've been in years that this thing Warren built is so much bigger than Warren. It's a growing tribe, and it's growing exponentially, and it's gathering every year. And if you want to help getting into it and finding your place in it and starting to understand what it's all about, that's what this whole channel is for. So subscribe to it, you guys, and let's get to work. One of the things you can do is come to my 3-day online Rule 1 workshop. I teach it right there along with 2 of my portfolio managers and all my faculty. So you guys are learning from real investors who manage real money, millions. And I'm going to teach you guys what Warren taught me. And you'll have a lot of time in small group coaching to get your questions answered. And we don't sell anything at this thing. The class has an NPS score of 86, a 4.8 Trustpilot score. It's without question the #1 class on value investing in the world. And we do it for under $100 for 3 full days. So I hope to see you at the next one. And maybe next spring, I'll see you in the tribal gathering in Omaha.